So overall, our idea is, in short, we want to be the most watched and most played sport in the country in the next 10 years. That is our goal. That happens along with private organizations like the tournament organizers and the clans, and also government support like Sri Lanka Esports Association and the Sports Ministry. So there are many aspects that come into play when you want to beat a game like cricket in Sri Lanka, right? You need to, like we mentioned earlier, we need to have the icons, the players, and the individual brands that people will follow. So it'll start in a small way. We already see that to a certain extent, of people being popular, people winning in tournaments, and they have their own following. So there is a bit of a mismatch between are the really high skilled players streaming enough, have they created a profile? Clans are taking baby steps. I see in making that happen. From a government perspective, I think, like as on behalf of the Sri Lanka Esports Association, since I'm president, we have put together a plan to create a national team brand. So the idea is, like Sri Lanka cricket is known and is followed, Sri Lanka Esports also needs to be sort of known and followed globally. And to do that, there's an entire sort of marketing plan. There's an entire budget that's created to give salaries to players, to get coaching done. And we are aiming at like mid-term goals as well as long-term goals. So mid-term goals, like putting together the team and getting them salaries and getting them ready for the next medal event. We also want the national team to take part in private events. And so there is an entire sort of movement that's happening and discussions happening with the National Sports Council. So the Sports Ministry has appointed the National Sports Council. That's actually headed by Mahela Jayawardena, and they put sports into different tiers. Tier 1 is like the Olympic medal sports. Tier 2 is other sort of high focus sports by the National Sports Council. So we are currently having conversations about where esports fits. It's an ongoing conversation. So even last week we had a meeting with one of the representatives who's looking after esports in Sri Lanka from the ministry side. And so we had conversations of how at a grassroots level we are going to promote esports. So it's no longer just the gaming community that's coming into esports. This is also this is the ministry's view. They want to promote esports at the sort of the village level across the island. And so that includes things like building connectivity, building infrastructure where they can either play on PCs or mobiles, and creating awareness. More than, I think step number 1 is creating awareness about esports, that this exists, that it's not just a pastime, it's not a waste of time like your parents say. You can actually go and win a medal for your country. And so that entire grassroots, from not knowing what esports is as a youngster, getting into esports, taking part in tournaments, getting into national team, and then representing the country, or even if you're good enough, an international team, is like a bit of a roadmap and a path that we are continuously sort of trying to improve. So that the goal in the next 10 years to get esports as the number 1 sport is not an easy one, obviously, because cricket, I think, has that pretty down confirmed. But it's something that we'll all get together and do, because it's the clans will have to do it, the communities in general will have to come together and do it. So that's in terms of watching streams, supporting your fans, supporting their teams when it comes to any sort of promotions. We saw this happening with LPL, right, with cricket. There was a huge sort of fan base that was created between all of the sort of LPL franchise teams. And we see that to a certain extent with the Sri Lankan clans also, but we want that to not just be the within the gaming community that needs to happen, like even for non-gamers. Like even if you don't play cricket, you're going to know the Sri Lankan cricket team is taking part or the LPL is happening. Esports hasn't come to that point yet, so it's sort of a 10-year journey with milestones in between that will be working with both private organizations like GamerLK as well as the sports ministry. So we are very lucky to have a sports minister at the moment who wants to, promote esports in a big way. We took about, I think, 5 years of discussions with, various sports ministry secretaries. We then upgraded to talking to sports ministers, and we finally got esports recognized as an official sport in 2019. And now we're sort of happy that it's become a focus point from the sports ministry side. And it's all good things. I mean, if you're in esports, if you're a clan, if you're an athlete, if you're a content creator, it's a good time. You're at the beginning of it, I'd say, and it's a good time to be in esports. And if you sort of stick around, you'll be able to see great things happening.